We are and always will be a nation of immigrants.
This is my country, my damn country. Give me my country, you can keep the rest.
Bold men and women yearning for freedom and opportunity who leave their homelands and come to a new country to start their lives over.
We were strangers once too.
My country, my damn country. Give me my...
Hi everyone, this is We the Aliens podcast, and I'm your host, Sasha Kapustina. Today on the podcast, the second part of the conversation with business consultant, author, and speaker, Francis Schaal. On this episode, we talk more about his method in business consulting and his new project, the Squirkle Academy. Do you like the word Squirkle? I think it's cool. I also like the concept. So, Squirkle is a combination of a square and a circle. And the idea is that it's representing the combination of two different ways of thinking, the logical and the intuitive. And I think it's the key, really. On many occasions, I've been told, oh, you think like a guy, or, well, you're not a typical woman. And I know that when guys say that, they mostly mean it as a compliment. And it's kind of their way of acknowledging, oh, you're not a monster from another planet. Maybe we can do business together. So I receive it as that. But the truth is that for years, my personal challenge has been learning to trust my intuition and actually acting on my hunches. Because I clearly am more of this logical person. And I don't know about you, but for me, the thing is that because I doubt those intuitive solutions that come as impulses, I then find myself finding a longer path, a logical path to that same solution. And sometimes it takes years, and it's really frustrating. Anyway, Francis has written a book. It's called Squirkle, A New Way to Think for a New World. And since we recorded, that book actually came out and I read it. And Francis gives a few great examples in this book of achieving the best solutions by combining the two ways of thinking. And Squirkle is just this elegant concept, beautiful visual that helps comprehend the idea of not having to look at things in a binary way. And I think it's just beautiful. So make sure to check out Francis's book, Squirkle. And here's our conversation. So tell me more about what is it about? What is it for?
Yeah, sure. So thank you. So it's about helping people in the most daily, in their daily life, helping them make decisions, solving complex problems, helping women have a voice when the environment they live in doesn't really allow that so much, valuing everything that women have to bring to the world. And as people learn how to exchange with women as a male or among women, or women own and own what they have, solve the complex problem of our days, help organizations innovate, and do that from a sense of play and fun and vital and energizing as opposed to forceful and depressing. This is why I invented Squirkle. And as people learn this, without necessarily noticing it, they're learning a new way that will be more sustainable. Because I think the sustainability challenge is overwhelming. When actually creating a sustainable world is an amazing thing. The process, whether we succeed at it or not, the process of nearing ourselves to nature is it's win.
I mean, when you just said like that line, whether we succeed in it or not, that's just such a daunting thought that we might not succeed in that.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you one thing. You know, I speak at lots of conferences, and I always say, we've all been very happy at dinner table with multiple generations, with people who would die before us, that we would know we would never see again, with not knowing whether younger people than we were would die younger than we would, or if we would die younger than other people, and that uncertainty has not kept us from cheering and drinking and laughing and having a great time. So what we're able to accept on a micro level every day in our families and circles of friends is something that we need to reckon with at a collective level. You know, because
that's a strong metaphor, and it's a good way to look at it.
It's important to look at it like this, because that gives you regain your freedom.
Yes.
Because you emancipate yourself, you free yourself from a fear that actually you're completely capable of living with.
Yeah.
And if you act from fear, you curtail your creativity, and that's the whole point of Squirkle.
Yeah.
Gaining our birthright, which is natural creativity, agility, and capacity for adaptation, regardless of what is. In the moment, you have all of this available to you, and that's what America is such a genius at, you know, in that everything's negotiable. You know, they're constantly in the moment trying to get the best of the situation in a rather happy way, Walt Disney way, you know, and in positive way. And no, but I mean, you know, we have to give credit to this. This is genius. This is genius in motion. And look at what this country has been able to do, get us to the moon and so on and so forth. So yes, lots of pitfalls, lots of imperfections, a lot to grow, a lot to learn, a lot to, you know, perfect and everything. But let's really honor what's here. And Squirkle, I would have never invented Squirkle. I would never invent it in the sense of discovering, inventing a treasure, you know, inventing in the sense of encountering myself if America were in my home today, you know, because there is this sense of permission, of forgiveness that allows people just to be amazing. And I love this. You know, I was in New Orleans for
Mardi Gras?
Valentine's Day, before Mardi Gras. And obviously I was looking at this woman who was utterly overweight, dancing, you know, having a good time. And I was thinking, like, if I were in France, because New Orleans, French culture and everything.
Yes.
So I was like, well, good for her. You know, good for her. She's a walking gift to everyone, that she can have a good time in spite of what I'm sure is otherwise a struggle in certain circumstances, in certain aspects of her life. You know, good for her. This is pure love. This is pure energy. This is pure life. You know, This is just allowing things to be, you know, regardless of your circumstances. This is really this thing that America, that's so magnetic to me. And Squirkle is hopefully the model that represents this sense of possibility. It's called Squirkle, a new way to think for a new world. So don't think from your head, feel your way through and use thinking. Okay. But don't let thought process dominate, because your thought comes from your conscious mind and it has only what you know, whereas your body has things that your mind doesn't know. So let yourself discover as an actor, you know, truly moment to moment. And so as you discover that capacity that we have to be in the moment, creative and agile, capable of adapting and having a good time, because life is about being in the moment, you know, and opening up to so many possibilities. This is really cool and nice. This is what Squirkle is. This is fun, upbeat, and opening up to your full potential. And as you do this, if your body is your best friend, is your treasure chest for possibilities and creative solutions, we'll learn how to honor it and work with it. And in doing that, we'll learn how to engage with nature from a place of respect, because we will have respected nature in us, which is our body. So that's the philosophy, the simple philosophy of what Squirkle stands for. And kudos to America for allowing me to do it and to even think of it and even daring share it with the world.
I love it.
Have I told you the story? Okay, I could tell you the story, a very simple story that exemplifies why it's so good and well done. Okay, let me get the dog out, okay, because we're in the, let's go, go outside.
And we're back.
Yeah, so
how did Squirkle come about?
So I'm going to tell you a very simple story so that you understand square and circle. So square is the logical mind, the one that judges, the woman dancing next to me in New Orleans. And circle is a part of me that wants to dance with her because that's so fun and filled with life. And there's great music, a sense of freedom and happiness in the moment. So I want to engage. And the other part is, so, okay, personally, I prefer to live my life engaged than my life judging. Okay, so square is very useful, but I want to be able to stop the square, okay, whenever I want, so that it doesn't judge my life. Okay, so I engage, circle.
I love it. I think I have two main reasons why I love this concept. Number one is that it brings back not just the knowledge and the dominance of technology, but science as a creative thing. And you emphasize, I love that you emphasize how important scientific approach is, because I think there's a problem that we're dealing with lack of trust and lack of understanding of what science really is.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think people are missing the point so much and using
misusing
fake science and not even checking their sources, just basic things that are mixing things up completely. Absolutely. And I love that you bring in the as a true Frenchman, and here we go. That is your contribution. You're bringing in the importance of true science, and I love that.
Rigor.
Yeah. And the other part I love is that the other part of it is the connecting to the emotions. I certainly know, coming from Russia, that is very it is very emotional culture, but not very aware of its emotions kind of culture.
Yeah.
And for me, part of my journey of living in the States has been in becoming more sophisticated in that way and connecting and understanding my emotions.
Yeah, as something meaningful, yes.
As something
life.
Deserving of my
attention and care. Yeah.
And now after years and years, I'm kind of arriving at the place where I'm learning to, and actually a lot of meditation. That's become a big practice for me. I know that I've read some of your book. I know you emphasize breathing a lot. Tell me a little bit about that.
So,
I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you for 1 second. Yeah. Just the whole theme of breathing in the last few months has been so present.
Of course, has to be, of course.
Because on one hand, this terrible virus that is taking away the ability of people to breathe. And then this most recent events and protests that come with I can't breathe. In my mind, somehow all of that got connected to this very essential thing, a very human thing. Yes. We all want to breathe, and it's the most basic thing we all have to. We need to.
Of course. Beautiful.
So I was wondering, you emphasize this breathing thing in the book. Is there any particular technique that you recommend to people?
So breathing. Okay, so there's an exercise I start with everybody in business. That's where I start, and that's to get people to actually breathe. Simply pay attention to their breathing, relax, close their eyes, relax, and then connect with their breathing, and realizing that there's a mechanism, a physiological mechanism that allows them to breathe, because people don't even realize this, that's the diaphragm, etc., etc. So I take people through the exercise. And as a side note, for our listeners, they can go to squirkleacademy.com and they'll find those exercises available on the site. And if they want to actually take the Squirkle test also, they can do two things. Either they go to squirkleacademy.com and click on take the test. Okay, it's in the menu bar. Or they can text now the word Squirkle, SQUIRCLE, square, SQU, and Urkel from circle, Squirkle, SQUIRCLE, and text that word to 484848, and they will get immediately access to the questionnaire, the Squirkle test. It will take them 3 minutes to answer, and they'll receive a 22-page report, which will give them a reading of how they approach situations and decisions, which is very important because it will get them to understand their strengths and maybe the areas of improvement, and they will be also to reflect on people around them and how to work with them or just communicate with them, collaborate with them, how to get their point more easily across to them, and vice versa. maybe more carefully listen to people who are different from them. So just an aside.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I
Just an
love
aside.
that.
Just an
That's
aside.
very generous.
You're so welcome. So I start with breathing so that people realize that this very essential, as you were saying, function called breathing happens in us through billions of cells working together to make this happen from our first breath to our last breath, regardless of whether we pay attention or not, regardless of whether we have drunk too much, we've not slept enough, we've eaten too much, whatever, whether we're lazy or courageous, it happens no matter what. So there is in us, innately, an intelligence that can deal with complex problems in a way that's fully reliable and hardly ever fails us. And that should all make, oh my God, make us say, oh my God, we should every morning get up with a sense of awe. That's even possible, regardless of how sloppy we are with it. You see? So, no, it's like, who among us eats perfectly, sleeps perfectly, paces themselves perfectly. And in spite of all these negligences and imperfections, there is a perfect machine that takes care of us with gratitude and no judgment, sustain us through life. So maybe there's something to do here, just to pause in silence, to just accept this idea, that it's always there. So breathing, why breathing? Because once you go to your breathing, once you really become aware of it and you pay attention to it and you put your attention in it, you are in the moment. That's the work of the actor. That's the work of the singer. That's the work of the athlete. And once you're in the moment, there's no more worry. It's like an animal. You're just present.
That's the biggest challenge.
Of course. And once you're present, you have access to everything that's available to you, in you and outside of you.
Yes.
That's where you're at your peak potential. And that's where you're at your peak capability of picking up cues from outside and being open to receptiveness, to be receptive to diversity, to differences. There's no judgment. And at the same time, you have an instinctual brain that will defend you if anything were to happen to you that would put you in danger. That mechanism is also alert. So you're completely fine. And that brings solace, and that brings a sense of comfort, and it doesn't cost you anything. And that relaxes you. That's an anti-stress, an anti-burnout. It's an amazing tool.
I love it. I love it. Breathing is the best.
It is. Yes.
I really appreciate it. I truly
thank you. It was
do.
nice.
It was really fun. And
me too.
Keep me posted about what's going on. And
the goal for this book is to be on Oprah's list, so it can be available to everyone. It's very simple to understand. We're going to do books for children. I really want to. It's very important for women to have this book.
Yeah.
So I really want to create a training track for women to become Squirkle coaches. I've been asked actually by women to do that. So we could do a silent revolution, to really create a culture of sustainability and innovation.
More power to that.
Yeah,
that's all I can say.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm working for. Yeah.
Yay. Thank you, Francis, for this and for your work. All right.
Thank you very much. Okay, yes, it's late. Bye.
All the best.
Okay.
That's it for today. I hope it was fun and interesting and you learned something. Find Francis's new book, Squirkle, A New Way to Think for a New World, and check out the Squirkle Academy website. Maybe you'll find some interesting course or some interesting reading there. And tune in next week for the next episode of We the Aliens podcast. A quick shout out to Ben Bostic, whom we thank for his song, My Country, and to Damien Rowley, who edited and mixed this week's interview. Subscribe to We the Aliens podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on social media. Share the show with a friend. And remember, we're here to stay. We'll find our way. Thank you for listening. Love you all. Peace.
This is my country, my damn country, and it don't mean a thing if it don't pass the test. If you ain't never done something